Hello everyone and welcome aboard. We're back with another boat review today, one that I think you guys are going to love because I know I love it. It's one of my favorite boats. It is a 2018 Grady White Freedom 307. Now, I feel a little bit bad saying that all these are my favorite boats because I just got done with the Sunseeker 55 that is also one of my favorite boats. It's a little embarrassing because I'm worried you guys are going to think that I just like everything that I go on. However, that's not the case. I'm just very lucky to have Newport Yachts who sponsors and lends me these vessels for these reviews. This one is currently for sale, so if you're interested, go check them out at newportyachtrentals.com. They also offer charter boats and have a very wide selection, so thank you to them. Be sure to check them out in the description down below. You will also be able to find this vessel as well as many other beautiful vessels at setsailmarine.com. They are a brand new AI boating marketplace that helps you guys buy, sell, and fix any vessel. You can ask their AI sailor any questions you might have, get your boat sold fast, or find the boat of your dreams at the right price. Now enough with the intro, let's check out this Grady White Freedom 307, and as always, we are going to start with the exterior, specifically the hull. The hull on these Grady Whites is what is used in most of their models. It is their award-winning CV designed hull. They even have a sticker commemorating it right here on the side of the windshield. These hulls are great specifically for the West Coast because they have a lot of flair to them and they handle the waves very nicely. The one thing with center console specifically, but almost all boats here on the West Coast, is what makes them a good or bad boat is how they handle the swell. We do not have a lot of flat water here. It is very easy to get beat up on the water out here, so having a boat that cuts nicely through the waves is really all that matters to us. Now, as I mentioned, Grady White uses these hulls throughout their lineup. This example comes in 30 feet, 6 inches with a 10-foot beam and a split console. Now, whether you like to call it a dual console or a split console, that is up to your own nomenclature. However, they do offer these things in center consoles as well. I'm a bit more familiar with the center console one, so I'm very excited to jump aboard this one and see how they handle the split console design. I will say, from the things I've noticed so far, it still looks to be a pretty great fishing boat. Even without that center console walk around, I'm very impressed by this vessel. Now, as we step aboard, I usually like to do the engines last. However, since these ones are outboards, they're a bit harder to ignore in this case here on the stern. These are twin 300 Yamahas. They combine for a 600 horsepower, and they will get this boat up to about 44 knots, 50 miles an hour, if you can believe it. At a 3,700 RPM cruising, these engines will take you to 26 knots and burn 19 gallons per hour. Now, as we step aboard the transom here, you will see a ladder as well as a little free feet show. This ladder is sunken into the deck a little bit, so it is flush so that you don't easily trip on it. You come through a transom door here, and you enter the rear cockpit. Off of the transom door, you have the battery switches in this little box here, as well as some fuses. And then over on this side, you have your engine flush system, which is very convenient. You don't have to deal with going back there to plug anything into the outboards themselves. You could just put your hose right here on this side of the cockpit wall, and you are able to flush out your engines. Below that is your freshwater tank fill, and above that is a little freshwater shower for when you come out of the saltwater. As we stick to the transom here, you'll notice this tow bar. This is one of the many things on this vessel that show you it's not just for fishing, it is also for comfort. However, if you are into fishing, you'll find a 100-gallon fish box here filled with floaties for optimal storage space as well for you non-fishermen. Over here to the port side of the transom, you will find the live well. This is 32 gallons or a cooler for those of you, once again, not as interested in fishing. And if we take a step back from this area, we will see a couple cup holders as well as this nice bolstered seat here that folds up whenever you want to accommodate more people, just like that. And underneath that seat, we have a little lazarette compartment here that we can open up, and we get access to our battery banks as well as bait and live well pumps, along with a few other boat essentials down there. If we take a peek below the port rail, we will see more cup holders as well as storage and a washdown outlet right there for fresh water. As we move forward on it, there is a little satellite fusion stereo unit right there, so you can control your music from back here in the rear cockpit. And if we take a peek over under the starboard rail, we will find the shore power connection, as well as a place to store some rods, or in this case, some boat hooks. And on top of the rails on both sides, we have flush-mounted rod holders, one forward and one astern, as well as flush-mounted cleats that go up and down so you don't accidentally catch any lines, fishing lines, or stub a toe. And as we turn around and look forward on the vessel, you'll get a better idea of what it is like on board. You can see the 10-foot beam here is fairly spacious. You can sit 4 across in the Helm chairs, and Down here, we also have a couple rear-facing lounge chairs. In between them, there is a little bar area on each side that has a little bit of storage inside of it, as well as a cup holder. The actual Helm chair has bolsters so you can lean against them and stand, whereas the passenger side is just one bench. If we take a seat here at the helm, to our right we have more cup holders as well as some storage space, as well as a button that moves the seat forward and backwards. Sorry if that was a bit loud. We have our ignition system down here below with our key and our kill switch, and then our throttles up to the right. On the left side of the throttle, we have our trim up and down for the engines, and then next to it, we have our trim tabs. Above that is our controls for our bow thruster. Yes, this vessel comes with a bow thruster. A beautiful stainless steel wheel here with a knob for easy spinning. Some more cup holders off to the left here, as well as another Fusion control unit for that stereo system. As far as electronics go, we have this huge Simrad NSS Evo 3, as well as a standard Horizon radio over there on the right side. Above that, we have our Yamaha controls, as well as all of our buttons for our freshwater, raw water, hardtop lights, forward bilge, cockpit lights, you name it, they're up here with a little orange horn off to the left. And while we mentioned the cockpit, it might be a good time to talk about it while we're standing underneath. It is a hardtop with substantial supports along all sides of it. Near the stern, we have some fishing rod holders, one below and one up high. But then instead of having them across the top here, we actually have the hardtop that continues a little bit with some rear-facing deck lights up above. As we move forward through it, there's more lighting, as well as this nice mesh storage compartment, great for soft goods and life jackets. A couple speakers in it as well, as long as these stainless handrails. And as we get up to the front of it, the last feature of this thing is a nice little window for some breeze. I know what you're thinking. Why would we need more breeze on this boat? Well, it's actually because it comes with a guide system for a little bit of isinglass if you wanted to mount something up here down to the windshield so that you can prevent all that wind or water from coming through. And if we swing over to the port side, opposite of the helm, we have that bench seat we mentioned earlier. This one does come forward as well as some storage space here with the main Fusion stereo head unit located right here, as well as another cup holder. Now I know what you guys are thinking, wow, this boat has a lot of cup holders and Jake sure likes talking about them. I bet he probably couldn't count all of them. Well, I did, and there are 16 cup holders on this boat. And while that is impressive, you guys now get to see my actual favorite part of this vessel, which is not cup holders, but these buttons here actually. Both say power seat. You wonder why there's two of them. Well, because if you push it, these seats in the rear cockpit that are facing the stern actually extend all the way out and become lounge chairs. And just like that, the boat got comfier and now has lounge chairs. So comfy, in fact, they just might become the location for the star review, so stick around for that. Now, forward of this port seat is actually the interior of the vessel. Yes, this boat does have an interior, but before we get there and see what's behind this window, we're going to move forward and talk about the rest of the vessel. Up here, we have seating on each side, port and starboard, and then all the way up here on the bow, we have our anchor locker. This is actually the area where the windlass is, and then below that is an actual anchor locker. Personally, I like how this is mounted down here. I think it's really nice. It's not really in the way or out of the way or more complicated. It's just one hatch, and it keeps things out of the weather a little bit. If we close that, we will find our forward nav light, which pops up right here. If you're a longtime viewer of the channel, thank you. This might look familiar to the one that was on the Van Dutch 55 I did about 3 years ago. Straddling the hatch for the anchor, we have more flush mount cleats, as well as more cup holders. As we move back, you get a view of what the vessel looks like from the bow. You can see there's a Simrad radar up there, as well as a spotlight and VHF antenna. And the last thing I'll show you guys before we jump down below is how this hatch comes over to block the wind, just like that. And if you really want to be protected or make sure that no small kids go up on the bow, this door comes across here and locks right there. And let me tell you, you are significantly warmer now. This setup blocks all the breeze and the spray, and you don't have to be so concerned about the sea state. Starboard in front of the helm, we have one more mystery door. This is more storage and also access to your electronics back down here. There's also storage underneath these seats up here in the bow. And then this small drawer right behind is pretty fun. It is a place to store all of your lures. It's a little lure drawer. You can keep all your stuff nice and organized in there. Now let's finally open up this door and see what the interior of a split console looks like. And there you have it. We have a little bit of a vanity over here with a nice little cleat on it so you can hang some items. And then down here we have a bed that runs forward and folds up. It goes all the way into the bow compartment up there. The area under the port cushion up above runs into this. And then over here we have a sink as well as some controls for our waist. And if we actually get down here, see if I can show you this. If we actually come down here and move a couple of these cushions, lift up this hatch, and we have a head. Always nice to have a head on a day boat. I promise you one day you will have an emergency and you will be so happy that you ended up with that thing. Set those cushions back down there and it's a bed again. It is a bit spacious even though it looks a bit small. I can lay all the way across this thing and be quite comfortable. All right, let's go over the star reviews for this boat. But first, a brief summary and some specs on the boat. This is a 2018 Grady White Freedom 307 dual console or split console, depending on how you like to call it. It has the CV hull from Grady White that has an overall length of 30 feet 6 inches and a beam of 10 feet 7 inches. It only has a very small draft of about 22 inches. Its weight without the engines is 7,800 pounds. It has a fuel capacity of 235 gallons, a freshwater capacity of 32 gallons, and a raw water capacity of 10 gallons. Its twin 300 Yamahas get you to a cruising speed of 26 knots at 3,700 RPMs. At that speed, you'll burn just under 20 gallons per hour and has a top speed of 44 knots or 50 miles an hour. It's got a head down here and a little compartment for sleeping and easily seats 10 people comfortably all around the vessel, including in this retractable lounge chair I'm in right now. Now let's go over the star reviews for this Freedom 307. It did very well in every category, but if you'd like to see it, go over to JakeSea.com/rankings. For performance, this boat gets a 7. I think it's above average and it is great in its category with its speed, its range, and its top cruising. For comfort, I also give it a 7. As you can tell, I'm clearly comfortable. There are tons of places to sit on this vessel, and it's beautifully protected from the sun. Quality in this boat also gets an 8. This thing is a 2018, so it is about 7 years old now, and I cannot see anything on it that does not look brand new. It has held up incredibly well to both the weather as well as the environment. There's no rust anywhere, and it is kept in great condition. Every compartment still closes and nothing is chipped or broken. For practicality, I give this boat an 8. I think it beautifully blends the hybrid lifestyle between comfort with the protection from the weather up there in the dual console with the fishing aspect of the rear cockpit back here. I think they did an incredible job. And lastly, for value, I give this boat a 7 for value. I think Grady Whites hold their value very well over time. It's mainly because they're built well and their quality is high. There's no reason for them to depreciate all that heavily over the years. For that reason, value gets a 7, leading to a total of 37 stars. If you want to see how this boat compares to others, be sure to check out JakeSea.com/rankings. I'll have a link down in the description below. 37 stars is a great rating for this boat and one of the highest I've ever given. Big thanks again to Newport Yacht Rentals. Be sure to check them out. Their link will be in the description down below. And as always, if you ever need any sort of boats or any sort of help buying boats, be sure to check out setsailmarine.com. Thank you for watching and smooth sailing.